Hi guys, welcome to Lazy Hype, where we talk all things wellness. Today I have my wonderful friend Miranda from the Breathing Room. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
She's created the most beautiful space, the Breathing Room, that I'm obsessed with. It's a place that just brings stillness into my life. And so I wanted to not only share her background, but also share with everybody what the Breathing Room is all about. So first and foremost, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
How did you create this beautiful space? Like, walk me through you.
Yes, no, there's kind of a few different paths that led me there. But one of them was where like many of us, were just have been at a point in life where you're feeling either burned out or wanting more, wanting something different. And what I did is I took time to really think about, I can design my life. And if I really think about what I want it to look like, and if I'm going to design it kind of from the ground up, what do I want it to feel like? What do I want it to look like? What are some of the activities or the habits that are incorporated in it? And that's kind of where the breathing room part of it came from. There's the mental health background too, which I know we'll kind of get into, but a big part of it was just really thinking about what I wanted, what my priorities are, and what would that look like in just a time and space where I'm just dreaming, just kind of dreaming big and thinking, wouldn't this be nice?
I mean, were you dreaming of a Restoration Hardware in a Saks Fifth Avenue? Because it's literally stunning, like
Thank
every
you.
detail.
Thank you. I know it was very heart centered. So that's where I just think about, like, oh gosh, what do I want in here? What do I want it to look like? What are the little things, from like the teas to the candies to the lighting, just all the things that I love. And I just kind of thought, if I love it and this feels good to me, maybe it feels good to somebody else too. So
Wow.
it was definitely the design, and being in the space needed to feel like a place that I wanted to be.
Wow, I love that. So I'm curious to know, just from like day one, your journey, growing up, where you grew up, to today. Like,
Yeah.
what really brought you to Westwood, out
Oh
of all
gosh.
places?
Such a good question. So I actually grew up in South Dakota,
Oh,
which you probably haven't met a lot of people from South Dakota.
no.
No. And so I grew up in a really small town, and with just kind of the Midwest way of life. So, being the generation that I am too, growing up without cell phones, growing up without social media, I grew up in a town where there were no malls. We didn't even have a Walmart until I was in high school. So, just a very different way of life, which I never really felt like that was where I was going to be spending my life, but looking back now, I can appreciate so much about growing up in a small town and growing up with such a different way of life. And my parents were good. They told all of us, you have to leave. Everybody has to leave, and you need to leave the state, and that's the only way you're going to grow up. So you can always come back, but after high school, everybody's got to go. So go figure it out, find your journey.
Who
And
was
so
everybody? Was there lots of
my
siblings?
siblings, yep. So I'm
Okay.
a middle child. I got a younger brother and an older sister,
Okay.
and we all did it. We all left, and it was good. And I'm glad that they encouraged us to do that. And so then I just went on the college path, and psychology was the interest. And through that, I went through quite a few ways of exploring the avenue in psychology that I wanted to go. So I started with doing research and working with monkeys that were addicted to drugs. So
Oh,
yeah, bizarre experience, but also very influential for my life, just kind of in general, of going, okay, this is not what I want to be doing. And then working with a lot of really severe mental illness, and then kind of finding my way to kids and going, okay, I did monkeys, I did adults and kids. This feels good, kids and teens. So that's kind of where I ended up of doing testing for kids and teens. So looking at things like autism or learning disabilities, ADHD, that sort of thing. And over the years, what I would find is a big part of the job is that no matter what we find diagnostically, is you need to come up with evidence-based recommendations. So you're thinking, okay, whatever I found here, what are we going to do about it? And how are we going to suggest treatment or strategy in helping someone improve or feel more balanced? So one of the things that I would always recommend, no matter where I landed diagnostically, would be mindfulness and meditation. It's really evidence-based. There's the literature is constantly emerging of the benefits all the way around. So on your physical health, to your mental, to your emotional. And one of the things that I would find is when I would follow up and kind of check in with people and say, like, how are these recommendations working? What have we done? And so often the response with meditation would be like, oh, I just can't do it. Or, oh, I tried it and I just can't do it. And so I started to see that there was a lot of barriers. And then personally as well, here I am where I am very rich with mental health resources. So my colleagues, my friends, most of them are mental health professionals. So if I have an issue, I have all the support in the world. I teach coping skills. I know a lot about coping skills, and it's something that I obviously use and know how to cope with things and have a full toolkit. And then meditation was one that I knew how beneficial it was, and I wanted a practice so bad. And I would try and try and try, and I just, as so many people, just didn't get it, and just felt like, I don't know if this is working, or I get really impatient. I get distracted. This is just like, I don't know, maybe it's not for me. But I kept trying and I kept exploring different paths and working with different people, trying to kind of figure it out. And then when I got it, I got it. And then I started to realize that I am for sure my best self when I'm consistent with this practice. And so that was something that I started to think about with the creating the breathing room, of how do we look at these barriers that people are coming up against that are interfering with them receiving the benefits of meditation. If we know meditation is so good, and we know that a lot of people, myself included, really struggled with getting to that place before they reach the benefits, how do we work on overcoming some of these barriers? And that's kind of where the breathing room was created as well.
How did you come about Westwood? Because I think that's like prime location. You were right by the school, the hospital.
Yeah. And that was very intentional, because I think when I'm, again, working with like kids and teens and young adults, I have found that just the statistics is alarming with kids, teens, young adults that are suffering, let alone humans in general, where, mental health is something that so many of us are struggling with. And I have found that like the younger generations are seeming to talk about it more or prioritize it more. So you're hearing things where young adults are talking about like my anxiety, or I have to manage my stress, or I need a mental health day, and trying to prioritize that. And so I like what I'm seeing with that there's an openness. And so I wanted to meet them where they are with as many tools as possible. And I also think that there's a lot of technology involved in the breathing room. And I think that, college kids can appreciate technology and are so accustomed to technology. So how do we modernize some of these practices and optimize them in a way of using technology, but also giving them the opportunity to really understand what this is in its simplicity as well?